Welcome to the Improve It podcast. Improve It peeps, we are back with Jess Joswick. Now, if you missed episodes 149 or episode 150, go check out part 1 and part 2 of this conversation. Jess is on the show today, and we are talking about becoming a recovering perfectionist. I personally call myself a recovering perfectionist turned failfluencer because I really leaned into this concept of failure over time. Did not come overnight. Let me tell you that for free. So we're going to talk about 3 ways today to becoming a recovering perfectionist. How can we break them down? You are going to love it. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn it over to Jess. Let's improve it with Jess Joswick. I want to talk through that self-development piece. That's so big because as entrepreneurs, we do have the ability to shape our days and to create our days and make them work for us. Although it does not always work that way because things come up and people, meetings change and clients have needs and all the things. But I will say, if you have the ability to just know the bigger picture, you know how you then have the ability to scale back and decide what works for me at this specific time. So I can get these big picture projects done first, and then I can get to the things that are less, I call them the seeds and the weeds. So you plant the seeds first in the morning, and then you pull the weeds in the afternoon.
I love that.
Yes. And that is huge. That right there, from a perfectionism standpoint, I feel like could help anybody, because once you know that big picture, you're able to see, okay, where are we going? And I think that is probably one of the biggest problems for perfectionists. And I'm speaking for myself, is when I don't have direction, or when I didn't have direction, I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was a perfectionist because I was rooted in this fear of, this project actually means so much more to me right now because this is all I've got. But because I know now, does that make sense? That you know what I mean? And it's like,
absolutely.
I think about that. And it's funny because back in my 20s, I was just floundering. I mean, I'm telling you, I was supposed to be a talk show host 10 years ago. And I was like, I'm supposed to be Oprah. And it never happened. So I was like, okay, all of this, none of this makes sense. And everything I did felt like the thing that I was showing the world, and it felt so raw and vulnerable. So I was terrified all the time of things I was doing. Once I found my purpose, which is Improve It and the work that we do, everything changed. And it took me a long time to break those chains and let go of control. But once I did, it was so freeing. And I mean, right there, from a perfectionist standpoint, I think you have inspired so many people today to realize their bigger purpose, because if you can realize that, then that small project that you're putting out is just a little piece of the big picture. It's a little piece of the puzzle, not the whole puzzle.
Yes, absolutely. I love that you said that, because, about being in your 20s and not knowing what you wanted to do. I totally relate to that. And it isn't just something that happens in your 20s. It can happen really in any decade. I see this with folks who are, transitioning from one career to the next, or from having a career working for someone else to starting a business. There's always that point where you're like, oh, I feel totally naked right now. Or I feel like I'm not even sure how to talk about, this thing, other than I just know that it's important. Like, I'm called to it in some way. But when you are fully committed, it does change so much. It's actually really, I find it calming. Like, okay, this is going to be a long haul. I'm in it to win it. I'm just the conduit for all of this stuff, rather than like the genius who has to make everything happen. Like, once that ego, it is an ego death. Like, once you go through that, you're like, okay, actually don't need to be here alone. And yes, this is important, but like, I'm not that special. Like, there are other people who can help me. It's not all me.
Yes. Oh my God. And it's so freeing too. It's like, and I'll tell you, that's just even leaning back into the story for a minute. When I first started Improve It and I was doing everything on my own, and I did every single thing in this business. When I handed over a piece of that, it was like giving somebody my child. I was like, take this social media account and run with it, but oh, let me hold your hand for a long time. You're going to be in diapers for a long time. And like, it was so stupid. It was so dumb. And I actually will never forget one of the girls on my team who said, and she's still with me today. This is Christy, our director of talent. She was like, you have to let go of this or it's never going to work. And she just was so blunt. And the moment I let go of it, I was like, copy me on every email. No, I don't need to be on those emails. And so, I mean, this was my perfectionism plaguing me, hindering me from innovating, hindering me from actually implementing the things and fundamentals that we teach here. So I want to give our listeners 3 steps. Okay. If you could say, because we probably have a lot of perfectionists. I'm just going to assume, you know what it means to assume, but I'm going to assume we, we have some people listening today who are perfectionists who want to become recovering perfectionists. Because if you're a perfectionist, it will always slip up every now and then. It's never going to like just go away, but you can become a recovering perfectionist. So if you could give the Improve It peeps 3 steps to becoming a recovering perfectionist, what would it be?
Okay, let me think for a second here. I like this. I think the first thing would be get clear on your big why. What is the impact that you want to make in the world? Everybody has it, even if you're rolling your eyes and you're saying, "Oh, I'm just a little old, social media manager over here," or whatever. Like, no, like, you chose this for a reason. What was it? And
Yeah.
what do you want it to be? 2, I think it would be identify where you are leaking your own resources. So the 3 resources that I help my clients, manage and grow are money, time, and energy. So where are your own leaks? Where are you just wasting? Wasting,
I
basically.
am here for this, Jess. Yes, I like this one stuck out to me so much. I just screamed. Sorry, everyone. Turn your volume down. It gets hot in here. Okay. All right. Now, do you hear that static? That's from me screaming. Okay. What's number 3? What's number 3?
Okay, number 3 would be approach most of your work with a C plus mindset. And
Ooh.
this is my clients, have turned this into a verb. Like, I'm C plus in this thing because most of what we do, especially if you're an entrepreneur, like most of what you do, we just don't have time to do the A plus. But that's what we're going for when we're perfectionists. Like, we're going for the A plus on everything. It doesn't need to be the A plus. Like, it really doesn't. So look for where you can C plus. Like, even at the top of my day, I'm like, okay, so I've got these things I have to do. Here's the order I'm going to do them in. What can I just C plus? Like, what can I just, kind of doesn't need the best use, doesn't need the best, of my brain energy, doesn't need all of my focus. We all have things like that. And it doesn't even have to be low level. It can be something larger. If we're always going for the A plus, we're never going to make the impact we want to make.
Jess. Hey, man. There's a church. Hey, man. There's a choir. Hey, man. Yes. Oh my God. I feel like someone listening. You know what? You just feel like you just spoke to someone, maybe yourself. But I have a dear friend who I'm going to make sure listens to this episode in particular, because perfectionism is truly, I want to call it a disease. It is. It makes us have dis-ease in our bodies. And it really is something that can take away from joy and the freedom of life. And I'm so loving these 3 steps that impact you want to make in the world, like identifying that first, knowing your why. We call it the it here at Improve It. What is your it? Your thing that makes you you. When you know that, okay, everything becomes clearer. I mean, I just wanted to like stand up and clap for you when you said identify where you're leaking your resources, your money, your time, and energy. Because can you expand on that? So when you say leaking your resources, so where are you spending too much money? Where are you spending too much time? Where are you spending too much energy? How can you identify that?
Yeah, it's this is honestly something that it takes a long time to do. It can take a long time to do, and it's not just about wasting money, because we go right to when I hear that, and when a lot of folks hear that, we go right to like, oh well, I got to cut all the stuff that brings me joy. Like I got to make some, I got to trim the budget.
Yeah.
I think, my stance on that is if something is bringing you joy and it's helping you reset, it's helping you be a better you, it's giving you time back. There's no way that it can be frivolous. Like there's no way it's a requirement. We can't operate without joy. We can't operate and just go through life and slog it out. Especially when we have the choice, like we have an alternative. So if you have the privilege to choose joy every day, then do it. Then keep that in your life. But we all have things that are taking too long. I'm going through a huge audit of all of my systems, and like I'm obsessed now with like automating as much as possible. Like every week I'm like, my team, okay, can we automate that? Like what can we do? Because those are, a lot of what we do on the back end of our businesses are energy drains and time. But it's just a pain. Like there's things, and I know there's probably some people out there who are like, well, that's actually my favorite part.
Yeah.
So then your energy leak is somewhere else. Like what do you just like drag your feet on? You don't like to do it. Anything like that is a minus energy. So I actually have I have my clients track what brings you energy and what doesn't. What's taking all of your time, because a lot of them say, well, I don't have time to do whatever, I don't have time to do this. Okay, well, what is taking up your time? Because you're spending it in some way. And so once you have the data, basically you're more aware of all of the things that are actually taking your time, and then you can decide if it's valuable and if it's worth it. And rest, I will say, is always worth it.
Yes.
Anything that I plan with rest first. So this isn't like a quest to be more productive. It really is about what helps you operate in your entire life.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Because I've just leaned into this concept of rest being productive, and it's life-changing. I was so tired for 39 years. Going into my 40th, I'm going to be very rested.
Nice. Good.
Yes. Now,
happy to hear that.
Thank you. She finally woke up, but she needs to go back to sleep. So
yeah, exactly.
So, okay. I love these 3 things. And your third step is approach most of your work with a C+, which I'm just so here for. And I think definitely resonates for the perfectionists out there. Oh my God, just try it and you'll see how much more freeing it is. Your C+ is somebody's A+. Think of it that
exactly.
way too. So
exactly.
C+ is an A+ for somebody else. I'm loving this conversation so much. I feel like I could talk to you forever, but I want to know this. I have a burning question. What is your it? What would you say is your purpose, Jess? What's your one thing you want to bring to the world?
My purpose really is to change how we do business. It's not about just changing the culture. It's not about just giving people, a ping pong table and a pizza party. It is about rooting out things like perfectionism. Realizing that a lot of the structures that we've built have been, discriminatory, and rooting out the things that don't leave room at the table, that are really exclusionary, and are killing the planet. And so that's my big why, to find a new way to do capitalism. There has to be a way that we can invite in more regeneration and less taking, and less fewer ego-driven decisions. So yeah, that's what drives everything that I do.
I love it. Okay, Jess, and if somebody wanted to find you, how could they find you? On the internet.
Oh, they can
on the
find
internet.
me.
Not come to your house. They're not coming to your house. But if they can find you on the internet, how could they do that?
So you can find me on the internet in a few places. I'm active as far as social on Instagram and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is just my name, Jess Joswick. I think I'm the only one. I'm definitely the only one with green hair. And then on Instagram at Backbone Business. And then my website is backbone-business.com.
Love it. All right. We're putting all that in the show notes. Check her out on social because I love your green hair. It's so beautiful. And
Thank you.
You're beautiful inside and out. So we are thrilled to have you here. Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank you so much, Erin. This was a lot of fun.
Improve it, peeps. Oh my gosh. Okay. This concludes our conversation with Jess Joswick. Again, if you missed episodes 149 or 150, go back and check them out. But I am here for this conversation about the 3 steps that we can take to becoming a recovering perfectionist. What? So good. So good. And here's what I want you to take away from today. I want you to track what brings you energy and what doesn't. Track what brings you energy and what doesn't. Jess mentioned she does this with her clients. I think it's a fantastic exercise in realizing what is leaking our resources, as Jess says. But for one whole day, track what brings you energy and what doesn't. How can you include more tasks that energize you in your day-to-day? I'm so proud of you for the work that you're putting into yourself. I'm so proud of you for showing up here now 3 times in a week. If you've listened to these consecutively, know that there are going to be so many more bite-sized chunks of information here for you. I'm so thrilled to have this time for you to invest this time into you and to be able to share this learning and this evolution of you with you. Improve it, peeps. You know what I'm going to say? Keep failing. Keep improving. Because this world, guess who it needs? You and that very special it that only you can bring. See you soon. Hey friend, did you enjoy today's show? If so, head on over to iTunes to rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, did I mention that when you leave a 5-star review of the Improve It podcast, an actual team of humans does a happy dance? That's right. So leave a review for us on iTunes, screenshot it, and send me an email at info@learntoimproveit.com. I'll send you a personalized video back as a thank you. Thanks so much for listening. Improve it, peeps. I'll see you next Wednesday.